What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Fix It Farm YouTube channel. If you're interested in tractors, trucks, motorcycles, mowers, buying, selling, fixing, breaking, anything in between and beyond, you are in the right spot. So we're off to do a little wheeling and dealing this morning, just like the video title says. I'm gonna get the truck and trailer hooked up, jump in, get headed down the road, then check back in and fill you guys in on what we're doing. So I was cruising through Craigslist yesterday and I found a great deal on a zero-turn lawnmower. Now it is August, so the market for mowers is starting to wind down a little bit, but I think I can flip this one pretty quick. I'll show the Craigslist post here, but the mower is a Warrior Ever-Ride zero-turn, 60-inch cut. It's got a 26-horse engine on it. It looks to be in fair condition. I contacted the seller. He said they got a new mower. They don't need two. This one's been sitting for some time. It might need gone through. It might need the carburetor cleaned, valves adjusted, things that I would do to one anyway before I'd sell it. Now, as you can see, he's asking $1,200 for it. And a mower like this is worth $2,500 to $3,000 all day long where I live. So I think there's potential to make quite a bit of money on this and flip it pretty quickly. Now, with all that being said, if you guys have been following me for some time, you remember my 24-hour flip on the Ingersoll garden tractor. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to show my phone the day and time when I pick this mower up. Then I'm going to show the day and time when I sell it, and I'm going to challenge myself to do another 24-hour flip on this. If everything looks good, just like it does in the ad, we're going to buy it. I should be there in about an hour. I'll check back in and show you guys what we're dealing with. Here it is. It's pretty nice.
It's not a bad old mower. I mean,
so I just left the seller's house. I got the mower here on the trailer. I stopped here at Napa to grab some seafoam for the old Silverado for the ride home, clean her out a little bit. But like I said, I'm gonna try and sell this in 24 hours. So the time now is Saturday, August 28th, we'll call it 10 o'clock. So here's the mower. I'll go over a little bit more when we get it back home. I'm gonna run in here, get what I need, and we'll get back on the road. Okay, to take care of the old girl. She's put in a hard day's work so far. Man, look at this find. I don't think we have room on the trailer this time. Nice old 1086. Okay, we're back at the Fix It Farm with the latest purchase. I ended up getting it for $1,050, which I think is a great deal. It's a very well-built mower. It needs a little bit of a tune-up, but for the time, it is 11:10. So we're about 2 hours into this. Like I said, it definitely needs a little bit of a tune-up. You'll see that when I unload it off the trailer, but nothing too out of the normal. Adjust the valves, clean the carburetor, spark plug, fuel filters, air filter, stuff like that. So I'm gonna get this unhooked and unloaded, get it washed up, and then we'll jump into getting it run a little bit better. Alright, so I'm going to run to town, grab some parts, get stuff to clean the carburetor, air filter, spark plugs, things like that. It is a little choppy once you engage the blades, so I'm going to make sure it has the right belt on there and get the running stuff straightened out, get it washed up, and then we'll get it for sale. Alright, so this thing is pretty dirty. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to get it washed up before I start turning wrenches on it. I'm going to spray a little degreaser on her. So we might have just encountered a slight delay in my 24-hour target to flip this mower. So I got the new ignition switch in and I hooked the battery up and I could smell something like smoking or on fire. So I went down here as fast as I could and pulled the ground off. And up under here, all the wiring looks okay. But here, the throttle cable you can see is kind of melted. And melted all back down through there. Back, all melted really bad. So luckily nothing caught on fire, but I got to figure out what's happening here. I I guess we have a bad ground, or we're not getting ground, and it found it through that throttle cable. So I'm gonna do some digging. I'm still gonna try and hit that 24-hour target, but this might screw the plan up just a little bit. So the mower is finally in the shop. We're running a little bit behind where I'd like to be, but I think we could still probably pull this off as long as I can get that throttle cable tomorrow from the parts store. So what I'm gonna do now, I got the air filter cover off. I'm gonna clean that out. I got a new air filter. I'm gonna change the oil, new fuel filters. Also, I don't know what kind of gas is in here, how old it is, so I'm gonna go ahead and drain that gas out. I'm also going to adjust the valves and clean out the carburetor because it's running a little bit off of how it should be. So there's plenty of work to do. It's gonna be a late night, but I'm gonna try as hard as I can to hit that 24-hour target. I'm gonna jump to time lapse while I go over this thing, and we'll check back in. So I have a couple different things going on here. I wanted to check in midway through. So I got this whole back shroud off, and the reason I did that was I wanted to be able to rotate the engine with my hand because I'm gonna check the valves. So I'm gonna pull these spark plugs out of each side. I got new spark plugs, I'll replace them. I got one valve cover off here. This will be where I'll be checking the valve lash on the intake and the exhaust. So I gotta rotate the engine over, then check the intake and exhaust valve depending on where I'm at in the stroke. Get that lash set, like I said. We'll replace spark plugs. Also, I'm draining the fuel out of this. From the grounding issue I had earlier, I wanted to show you guys, I've never seen anything like this. Both the throttle cable, you can see the throttle cable here, and the choke cable are burnt pretty badly. So, burnt or melted, either way it's not good. I'm gonna have to get those replaced. I'm gonna pull the oil filter off. I should have mentioned that I'm also draining the oil. So, a lot of maintenance happening here. So this is a different style of carburetor. I'm not super familiar with these. I'm gonna go ahead and just leave this alone. If I get everything put back together and this thing runs like a top, we'll call it a win. If not, I have no choice but to go in there. But I'm hoping between the new gas, valve adjustment, and the new air filter and spark plugs, this thing will straight up and run just like it should. So we are officially on our second day of this zero turn flip. I was out here pretty late last night, early start this morning as well at 6 o'clock, but I gotta try and stick to my 24-hour schedule. So last night I pulled the valve covers off to check the valves. I drained the oil out. I still have to replace the oil filter. All the old fuel's drained out. I did throw the trickle charger on the battery. We should have a green light. Yes, we do. Also got a new deck belt to throw on here. So definitely plenty of work to do. It's gonna be pretty hard to hit that 24-hour target, but I'm still gonna aim for it. So at this point, it pretty well depends on if I can get a new throttle and choke cable. I showed how those melted with that key switch issue. If I can get those, I should be able to get this thing posted for sale here in the next 2 hours or so. Everything around here opens at 9 o'clock, so that's putting us pretty close to the 11 o'clock would be 24 hours. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm still going to shoot for it. Even if it's 36 hours or 48 hours, I still think that would be really good. But there's plenty of work to do. I'm going to stop talking, jump over on this. I'll check back in when everything's done and see if we can get this thing sold. So as you can see, we're going back together, but unfortunately, we just hit our 24-hour mark. And this is not sold. So no one's open today where I can get the throttle cable or the clutch cable that melted. So I'm gonna have to wait till tomorrow. Hopefully I can maybe still sell this within 48 hours. I think that would be cool. Obviously a bummer. I wanted to hit the 24-hour mark because I think that's really cool, makes for good videos, but I'm gonna keep plugging away on this. Hopefully I can get it done, and all I need is those cables, then I can get it sold tomorrow. I had a thought. I robbed the throttle cable off of that John Deere over there, made some modifications, got it to work on this Warrior, so we're gonna go for the first fire now. I still have shrouds and stuff apart. I don't care, I'm just gonna see if it runs or how well it runs and go from there. So obviously, pretty disappointing. It seems like it's really rich, getting a lot of fuel. I pulled one of the plugs out. It was pretty dark. So something in the fuel system, I'm going to pull the carburetor apart or look around on it, see if I can figure out what's going on. It could be something I missed, could be something easy, or it could be something I'm going to chase for the next couple days. So I'll report back with what I find. Okay, so somewhat promising find. I found this little guy. It is a jet off the carburetor. And if you remember, I took the bowl off of this and just sprayed it out and cleaned it. and this jet was laying back down in there. I was checking to see if the governor was hooked up properly, and I found him. Now I just got to figure out where it goes in there. So I'm going to rip all that back apart, see what I can come up with. So it was getting late at night. I was getting frustrated. Couldn't find any drawings on the internet. So I headed somewhere that I knew would have the answer. My grandpa's house. And he had a carburetor on the parts pile that was the same. So the two little jets that I found laying out go right down in there where the two emulsion tubes come through. I'm going to throw this back on there, fire it up. Hopefully it runs smooth now. I had to go to the junk pile and get another one, take it apart for reference, and there they are right there. So two carburetors. So this one is going to go back on there, and then we'll get her running. So I had an extremely late night last night. Once I got the throttle cable swapped over to the zero turn, I started it up. It was still doing the same thing. I couldn't figure out what was wrong. I couldn't find any good drawings on the carburetor, so I just loaded it up, ran to my grandpa's house because he's always working on stuff for other people. I figured he would have a spare carburetor. He did. I took it apart, and I was putting those two jets in the wrong spot. Kind of frustrating, but that's what happens when you're in a hurry and you're doing stuff late at night. So the mower's back here. It's running very well. I just need to throw a deck belt on it, go over everything one more time, and get it posted for sale. So the belt's on there. Everything looks to be good. I'm going to fire this thing up, jump on it, take it for a spin, show you guys how much better it runs with the improvements we've made, and then hopefully someone will come buy it. So we didn't hit our 24-hour mark. We didn't hit our 48. We didn't even hit 1 week. But I'm being honest with you guys. I'm not making this up. This is actually what happened. I did make a great profit. I'm thrilled with that. And that's what's important to me because I do this stuff on the side. I enjoy doing it. But if it's not profitable, then I can't keep doing it. So because it's late in the year, people are holding on to the mowers they have. If it was in the spring, I could easily get $3,500 out of this. If this buyer didn't take it, I was just going to pull a listing down and probably try and do that. But it ended up working out. So I'm going to go over profits, go over the machine, talk about it a little bit, and then we'll be ready to send it on down the road. The buyer will be back with a trailer to pick it up here in a couple hours. All right, so now that I got this sold, we'll talk about the important part, the profit, because if it doesn't pay to do this stuff, it doesn't make sense to do it. So I paid $1,050 for this. I had to drive quite a ways to pick it up, so I'll tack on $50 for fuel. I changed the oil and oil filter. $15. I had to put a new hour meter on it. That was $30. A new throttle cable, even though I ended up using one I had, I still had to buy one. That was another $30. Key switch, same thing. I ended up reusing what was there and fixed it, but I still bought a new one, so that's $20. Air filter was $12. Spark plugs, $10. And I had around $60 in belts. So that gives me a total of $1,277. I ended up selling it for $2,900, which gives us a total profit of $1,623, which is an excellent profit for this. It's also a great machine for the guy who bought it. So he got a great deal, like I said. As always, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoyed it, throw us a thumbs up. If you'd like to see something different or have a suggestion for another video, mention that in the comments down below. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It helps support the channel. It helps us grow and do cooler things in the future. Thanks again, and we'll catch you on the next video.